This is the brain of a normal person. This is the brain of an average anime watcher. And this is my brain. Aside from the size difference, the sections of the brain are divided completely differently. See, Daichi Tsuruyomi is a famous Japanese neurologist and also creator of the sports anime Keijo. He used his neuroscience degree to create a sports anime that stimulates a pretty interesting combination of sections in the brain. In this anime, they play a fictional sport called Keijo. The rules of the sport are simple. Get your opponent to touch the water first and you win. Oh, yeah. And you're not allowed to use your hands or feet. You're only allowed to use boobs or butts. It's simple, not easy, considering your opponents can have powers like super speed, key manipulation, and whatever the hell this is. Enter the Isagi of this story, Nozomi Kamanashi. Her goal is to be the richest Keijo player in all of Japan. So the anime starts off with her joining Satoshi, one of the two only Keijo schools in Japan, and probably one of the only two in the world, not gonna lie. She uses her past experiences in gymnastics and her curiosity to learn as an asset in the sport. At face value, you might think that this anime is just for horny anime fans who just want to see some ass, which was me. Sometimes the show does make me feel like growing a neckbeard and wearing fedoras, but Dr. Tsuruyomi clearly is a huge fan and has taken a lot of inspiration of shonen and sports anime. High point for me in the series is when Nozomi is battling Fujisaki, and they set the stage for a common sports anime trope where the main character faces a side character that is very talented but not passionate about their god-given talent. The main character shows them how fun the sport is by giving said side character a real challenge, exposing the side character to the main character's overflowing passion and determination. Not only does it do the trope well, but the fight is so typically battle shonen. From the epic OST starting to play, to them both charging up their strongest attack, followed by the mixing of particle effects in the air. I don't think any battle shonen fan could honestly look at this fight and say it's bad. And in moments like these, you can really see that the author is skilled in triggering the battle shonen part of the brain, especially since a lesser anime with the same tags and Keijo gives us unfortunately for servers,
it can only gain momentum on the land. Meanwhile, the vacuum butt cannon gains powerful centrifugal force thanks to the players building rotations. Fujisaki doesn't stand a chance.
Absolute cinema. Dr. Tsuruyomi seems even more so skilled in stimulating the sports anime part of the brain. For example, when one of the teachers, Nagisa Ushibe, she's my favorite, wants to test the main squad, Nozomi in the heat of action unlocks a hyper-offensive technique that utilizes momentum and puts an enormous strain on the user's body, making it too dangerous for the average Joe to use. And the evolution of that technique requires strengthening of the muscles so not to get injured. It seems a lot like Ippo's signature move, the Dempsey roll. A hyper-offensive technique that utilizes momentum and puts an enormous strain on the user's body. Still don't believe me? Both main characters have a friend/rival that relies on speed and outfighting, and they're both named Miyata. Can you tell I've been watching Hajime no Ippo? Anyway, these similarities further drives home my point that Daichi-sama knows which part of the anime brain he's targeting. So isn't anime about bumping boobs and butts on each other the greatest sports anime of all time? Heck no. There's like at least 6 better ones. Like Inazuma 11, Haikyuu, not season 2 of Blue Lock, that one dodgeball episode in Hunter x Hunter, Blue Lock season 1, just to name a few. But in my opinion, it is the best anime sport, and you can see that in how the author puts effort into making the sport feel like a real thing. Look at how the anime classifies Keijo players, for example. You have the infighter, who relies on close quarters combat and primarily uses power to overwhelm her opponent. Then you have outfighters, that keep their distance and use their speed to strike. Lastly, you have the counter, that uses her opponent's speed and momentum against her to knock her off the land. These classes are clearly very inspired by boxing, but altered just a bit to fit the Keijo sport. In boxing, infighters are close range and prioritize stamina and strength. Outfighters in boxing keep their distance just like in Keijo and are more calculated with their strikes. Counters in boxing appear to be a bit different, because in boxing a counter puncher seems to be a subsection under the outfighter category, whereas in Keijo the counter is its own category. But other than that, the classification of Keijo players is more or less the same. And that level of attention to research shows me that Daichi Duno loves the sports anime part of this show, and that is something you would initially not expect from the Keijo clips that go viral. And on deeper inspection, you notice the fact that the author switches up the Keijo lands, giving you a feeling that no battle is the same. You have the basic land that is mostly used for training. The fountain land that sprinkles water on itself, making it more slippery, thus making a real good land for counterfighters. The seesaw land, a land that has a round bottom, giving the ability to flip over when people are close to the rim. Or the YouTube land, giving you the ability to subscribe and join my Discord server. I had to learn Blender 3D for this video. You ain't leaving for free. The little things like him switching up the lands thus reinforce my point that Daichi-chan put a lot of effort in making this the real deal as far as the sport goes. As far as characters go, I do like the main crew of Room 309. We have Kazane Alba, who is pretty shy but is a big fan of the sport, always making observations and having analytical insights. Also gets the cool power to copy other people's moves with the Gate of Booty Lawn. I also like Miyata a lot and how she sees everything from a more competitive lens because of her nearly Olympic level judo past. Another fun fact about her is that this Miyata and this Miyata are both outfighters that use speed to their advantage and have dads that are very prestigious in the sport they are playing or used to play. Just saying, maybe similarities between Hajime no Ippo and Keijo are not a coincidence. We got Tomogoshi, who's kinda optimistic and clumsy, I guess. And we have Koto Fujisaki, who listens to Boy Love.
Thinking, I swear, I'm totally not into BL, not even a little bit. Okay. Yeah, but you're wrong, I'm not into BL!
The point is of all these characters is that they grow a bit towards the end, and the moment you reach the 12th episode, you think to yourself, man, these girls really did come far. I like the cast overall, don't really have a big problem with them, but the character writing is not touching some of the other sports anime I've seen. You ever wake up, step out of bed, onto the cold laminated floor, and the endothermic reaction makes you go, ooh, I don't like that. That's how some of the fan service in Keijo feels. For all the surprising fun that Keijo was in its first half, I have a feeling that Daichi-kun overdid it on the fan service. He disrupted the delicate balance in my brain and overwhelmed the small gooner section in my mind. This is how the sections of the brain should be divided. But as you get further and further into the series, I get a feeling that to enjoy the fan service, you need the sections of the brain more divided like this. In most of the moments that involve the character stripping, it's the worst. I never expected myself, a straight man, to say this, but I wish the women would keep their clothes on longer. And I get that part of the humor is the absurdity of it all, but it's just too much. My brain is literally not built for this! As I said before, the humor is not bad half the time, it's just I don't want to feel like I'm playing Five Nights at Freddy's on insane mode. The way I'm switching, looking for my monitor to looking at my door, listening for footsteps and praying to God nobody enters my room when my headset is on.
Now let me hear you moan, honeys. I call this move the Queen's Bounty.
Yeah, Keijo is not for beginners. I'm not even against ecchi, but my distaste for some of the scenes might be because I would say I have outgrown the genre mostly. I say mostly because when my goat drops the next monster wrestling chapter, you best believe I'ma be there next week. But you may ask, how can the Dr. Tsuruyomi MD, who got a neuroscience and behavioral doctorate at Kyoto University, make such an amateur mistake by disrupting the delicate balance of sports, ecchi, and battle shonen tropes I was praising him a moment ago for? Well, I guess, just like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. Or moon in this case. All in all, I think Keijo actually surprised me with how much of it I really enjoyed, by caring for the sport and putting in effort making the sport feel like it could exist in real life. You can see the author likes sports and battle shonen with the way he handled the anime tropes that made watching it feel like a kinda nod to the genre. This anime actually felt like one of those what if X was an anime skits, was made into an actual show, and was taken seriously. But unfortunately, I feel like the fan service became worse towards the latter of the season, to a point where I thought, man, if this show was 24 episodes long, I would drop it right here. But for what it does, I think it's worth the 12 episode watch. 6.8 Miyatas out of 10. Boy, leaving already? I think you forgot something. Something really important.